What's up, everybody, and Happy New Year. This is Sellavin giving you a new video, first time in a while, and the title does not deceive you. This is me doing a review on Spider-Man No Way Home. Definitely one of the best, if not the best, Spider-Man movie in a while. First off, uh, this was definitely one of the best movies they've ever done. Like Spider-Man, Toby, Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland. Seeing all three of them on once is literally a dream come true, and it's definitely one of the best moves that Marvel has ever done in a while. We all know that this is leading to further stuff like Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange, and and we saw this throughout the other Marvel projects. It's with Loki and other stuff. But let's get straight into it. When I got the, this was one of the best. This was definitely a good experience because if you're a fan of Spider-Man, and as a fan, you definitely have seen this movie. You definitely understand what I'm feeling right now because it hits you home as a fan of Spider-Man because it hits to the root of the character in a certain way. You know, it hits to the roots because, as remember, Spider-Man, even though he's a superhero, he's still a teenage boy who's still trying to do his best to struggle in his life, trying to maintain what he is trying to do right now. He's still dealing with the aftermath of Far From Home. The people know his secret identity. They think he's a murderer, a criminal. Oh, he's being investigated for crimes. I'm able. He caused the destruction in London, even though it was not all his fault. It was all a lie, but because of Mysterio, he and framed for his murder. He's now officially a criminal and an outcast. Even as people are divided, his Aunt May, his friends, and even Happy Hogan are the only ones by his side. You gotta love this story, because one of the things you gotta note is Peter didn't ask for any of this. He's a superhero. He has to deal with this, but he's still a teenage boy. Oh, as a character, he has a lot on his shoulders. And this really pushed him to his breaking point, because this whole problem is not just affecting his life, but the life of his loved one. So much so that he goes to Doctor Strange to try to undo it. And of course, that doesn't. Of course, when he tries to, unfortunately, it messes up, resulting in everyone with the potential to know spot is from across the multiverse, other realities to come forth. People were hyped already with this movie, and we're knowing that to see some of our favorite villains, especially from the Sam Raimi universe, and Andrew Garfield movies. He's the Lizard, Electro, Sandman, Doctor Octopus, and of course, Green Goblin. That was one of the highlights. Those are one of the best highlights of the movie. I think one of the biggest highlights of the film, in overall perspective, Spider-Man dealing with the aftermath, as a character, this was a major fan service for people who got to see it, especially those like me who grew up watching most of the Spider-Man films. I went to every Spider-Man movie and not missed a single one when they came out in theaters. The only one I really had trouble with was the Amazing Spider-Man 2, as I missed the first 5 minutes, but that's just at one point. But I went to see every Spider-Man movie. Growing up as a kid watching Tobey Maguire, I was 10 years old when that movie came out. Out, you know, out. Then there was Spider-Man 2. I went to go see that with my mom. Um, it was around the same time as my birthday. And then there was the Amazing Spider-Man 3. I remember that film was so overcrowded with people, so that when it came out in theater, when we went to see Spider-Man 3, there was no room in seats, that people had to sit on the benches, that people had to sit on the floor. I know, I was one of those people, and I felt sore, and I still remember it to this day. You know, the thing about this, Spider-Man, he has to accept the consequences of his actions, and And Tom Holland, he does a phenomenal performance, as well as Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. They both came back. The thing about the process is these are old men who are the same character. They just branched off into different realities, different people, sort of way. Like Peter Parker from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. He's one who had to deal with a lot of stuff, confessing that his best friend tried to kill him, then died in his arms. The roughness of his relationship with Mary Jane Watson, his version of MJ, who was played by Kirsten Dunst, saying that he understood that even though they had their problems, they managed to make it work. Then there's Andrew Garfield, who has to deal with the death of his girlfriend and Gwen Stacy. He still became Spider-Man, but has to deals with such harshness and remained a bit distant to people, and to the point where he became bitter. Like Toby is the older brother, Andrew's the middle brother, while Tom Holland's Spider-Man is basically the little brother. That's the perspective, and it's been said, and it's also been said now that both actors, Toby and Andrew, who they had creative control over how their characters were preceded, saying that if we're going to come back, they were not going to be background characters for no reason. They had to have a huge impact on the story, and they were Spider-Man way longer than our version of Peter, Tom Holland. So so they had to bring him had to give him perspective of what it's like to be Spider-Man, because theirs were a very unique concept. Like these guys were Spider-Man a lot longer. Remember the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 2018? That was a phenomenal movie. That version was one of the best they've ever done. And we already got word that the sequel is coming out next year, and it's going to be a two-parter. So they're going the Avengers Infinity War route, splitting the movie into two parts, with Miles Morales returning, along with Spider-Gwen and their version, Gwen, and all the other characters from the last Spider-Verse film, which itself is a big, huge teaser. You know, this is definitely one of the best movies. It really hits you because Peter, being so young, he is a superhero. He's beloved, and he is a good kid. He had to make some desperate decisions. The fact that he went to Doctor Strange for help to go fix this, he wasn't just thinking of himself. He was thinking about what to do. I mean, until Doctor Strange had to, teach him that there's more to life than just yourself. And they taught him the Spider-Man motto. Andrew and Toby, the Spider-Man taught him, with great power comes great responsibility. That's something that we have not heard so far in the other two Tom Holland Spider-Man films. We got to see it in this one. Aunt May taught him that. His friends Ned Lee's his MJ, his girlfriend, they're very precious to him. And him facing this and the consequences shows him stepping up as a superhero, him having to deal with so much at such a young age. Him trying to make the world forget he was Spider-Man, it may be a bit drastic, and it resulted in these consequences. But he tried his best to fix it, and he is a good kid. He doesn't believe in, using deadly force. He's not very aggressive. He's just a kid, and he has to deal with this. He is a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. That's the whole point of who he is. He's not Iron Man, Captain America, Thor. Or Hulk. He's none of those guys. He's his own character. And it fits so well into the MCU, and he fits so well in you that we could. And he's one of the most beloved characters. One of the best highlights of this movie is, we get to see so many other things. One of my favorite moments is we got to see Charlie Cox, aka Matt Murdock, Daredevil from the Netflix movies, and it's not the only Daredevil character, aka Kingpin, and who is played by the magnificent Vincent D'Onofrio, made a comeback in the Hawkeye Disney Plus show. We know that Kevin Feige said he did have ideas about bring back some of these Netflix characters to the MCU at some point, because we know that Netflix, they're not making any more Marvel shows, whatever relationship they had, it's down the toilet. But we know that Marvel never truly abandons its characters, and they always have plans to do it some way. Because Matt Murdock is a lawyer, and is dealing with a lot of legal troubles because of his consequence of what happened. But and he shows it. He didn't show up in his costume or anything, but it was awesome. Charlie Cox. I think he's my favorite version of Daredevil. Oh, thumbs up to. I know that Ben Affleck. Some people like his version of Daredevil too, but we all face it. That movie sucked, and the only thing that's good is the Evanescence soundtrack. That part was hot. Everything else down the toilet. Enough about my personal views, but you gotta admit, everything was very perfect. Doctor Strange. And Strange helping Peter. Him trying to help these villains, these bad guys. They're not. Some of them may have been evil to the core, but remember they were still human. So there's a chance they could be fixed, which is what Peter's motivation is. He wants to help people. You can't just throw him in jail or leave them to die. He's not that typical kind. He's not the typical kind of person to do that. That's not his character. Spider-Man is a heroic character. He's a hero. That means he's supposed to do good things for the right reasons, not just because he has to. Everything meshes well with this, and the ending was perfect. And it did came at great cost to the character, and losing those he loves and being on his own. But I think in a way, hey, this helps him mature because even though he managed to save the day, but he did lose everything. This will help him mature more as a person, as he grows up, being on his own, and trying to do his best. That's something has to help with his character with his mature down the line. Overall, I give it a solid A because it's it's a good film. I went to see it on Discount Tuesday with my aunt, my mom, my mom, two of my aunts, my cousin. Discount Tuesday, 5 people. Wasn't that expensive. It was one of the best films out there, and also the ending. It does lead you into Doctor Strange 2, who Multiverse of Madness. That this whole happened because Doctor Strange tried to use the spell to make sure to make the world forget that he's Spider-Man, but because they screwed up, it brought anybody from the multiverse who knew who Spider-Man was to this universe, that the multiverse is real. We all seen this in hints in other shows. WandaVision, Loki, everything is connected. Marvel doesn't do things for no reason. Everything is connected. It's going to affect people down the line. Everything is interwoven and connected at one point or another. That part I know is true. And Kevin Feige being the head of Marvel Productions, he doesn't do anything for any particular reason. Speaking of Spider-Man, now that he's done with this film, we know that Marvel and Sony, they do have a business arrangement. Like we know that Spider-Man is a Marvel cover, but Sony owns the rights to this character, as well as several of his other characters that are close to him, like Morbius, and that movie comes out this January, and Venom that had 2 films that have already come out. Venom and Venom Let There Be Carnage, and we know that Sony is doing their own thing with characters, that they're going to do a darker version of Marvel superheroes, like anti-heroes like Venom and stuff, and Morbius. We know that's Tom Holland's Spider-Man is set to premiere at least one more film, but it's most likely, in my guess, it's going to be most likely with Venom because those characters know each other all too well, since Spider-Man technically created Venom in a sense. We know they're definitely going to meet down the line somewhere at one point or another. That they're going to do other films down the line, I can't wait to see how they do things, and especially the other Marvel Disney Plus shows and the films that are coming out. There are still things interwoven. Like there are still films that we still don't know about. I still remember once when they announced that they were going to do a production version of Blade with Mahershala Ali, and technically this January starts Morbius, who's being played by Jared Leto, is a vampire character. So there's a chance we could see Blade in that movie. We don't know where he's going to get his own film, but Blade starring Mahershala Ali, I would love to see him show up in that at some point. Maybe it's a cameo or something. Marvel so far has not announced any new plans for the Blade film, but we know that it's coming at one point in life, and they're doing a darker version, of superheroes. We know that they were gonna do with other shows like Hellstrom, from like they done it with other more mature adult TV shows that they done on Hulu, Netflix, even on television. Like it's all interwoven. Like some of them are not exactly connected because, but the fact that they're bringing some of these characters back in their own unique way, it's all gonna lead to one big, huge point, another crossover film like the Infinity War and Endgame. But that's way way down the line. Like for example, they know they got the rights to Fantastic Four and X Men, but we don't know when those movies are gonna come out. At. It's gonna probably chill out for a couple more years. We probably won't hear anything new from them until 2023, 2024, maybe even 2025 and beyond. Because remember they each have their own films that are already out, but none of them are as successful as as they were previously were. Like, especially the what you call the Fantastic Four franchise, which suffered a lot. We know that we're definitely going to see some of these characters again, and Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Um, I can't wait to see how further down the line this will be. Like all these films, all these sequels. Like this year was pretty good when it came to Marvel and some of its films. And its TV projects. We got Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I went to see that with my stepbrother. That was awesome. Black Widow that came out. Natasha got justice. Although there were some issues with Scarlett Johansson finally breached a contract saying that the film was going to be exclusively in theaters, but they put it on Disney Plus at the same time, which caused issues. I don't think it's the end of the Black Widow character, not entirely, because one thing about comic books, they always find a way to bring back characters that die. And we don't know when we're going to see Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow again, but the Black Widow character probably will be back or referenced in one form or another someday. Hey, they don't abandon their characters for no reason. I see. Further down the line, there's Venom. Let there be carnage. Woody Harrelson play. He was Cassidy, the serial killer, and Eddie Brock. It's definitely one of the best you could expect because the fact that they get to do this thing their own darker tone, when it comes to films such as this. I want and not to mention the TV shows that are all interwoven together. I mean, and Marvel What If, like we know that Marvel What If is definitely one of the wackier versions. Like, what if this character won? What if this character didn't die? What if this character became this person? It's really intense. People were talking all over. One thing Marvel is they don't do anything for no reason. Like I said, everything is connected. We're definitely Spider-Man and No Way Home is definitely one of the best, in my opinion, overall. I really enjoyed this film, and if you're like me, then you probably enjoyed this too. Leave your comment down below. Share this video if you like. Give me your opinions, and what do you think? If you agree with me or don't, if you agree with me. And also, this is the first time I've done a video in a while. I'm thinking of making more videos again, probably somewhere down the line. I mean, and with rumors of new COVID cases coming out, it's better to be, and it's the middle of winter right now. Better to be safe than sorry. Right now, I can't wait to see what happens on the line. Overall, I enjoyed this film because this is the first time I got to see a Marvel movie with multiple members of my family at once. Last time I did that was Black Panther, starring the late great Chadwick Boseman, and Avengers Endgame with many of my nieces and nephews, although they couldn't keep still. They were all quiet for nothing. But I truly enjoyed this movie. Thank you overall for listening. I hope you enjoy, and I appreciate you watching this video all the way to its end. This is definitely one of the best movies Marvel has ever done because it hits you to the core of the character. This was basically a back to basics fan service and truly appreciated the character of Spider-Man and everything he's done so far. This is definitely one of the best you could ask for. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. This is Sullivan Adams giving my review on Spider-Man No Way Home. Overall, awesome. Love Andrew Garfield. Love Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland. Love them all. They were each Spider-Man in their own way, and we'll always love them for that. See you guys later. Bye.